Hey everybody, just making a video for everybody here to watch. It'll be my first video that I'm putting on YouTube. So a little bit about me. My name is Ben, and worked in wood shop, professional wood shop there for a little bit, and I did a lot of CNC machining at that shop. So I've done a lot of professional work, done a lot of stair treads, done a lot of cutting boards, a lot of cool stuff, some inlays and stuff, and I just kind of want to share what information I know about CNC. Um, and there's a lot of really cool things that you can do, obviously, with CNC. But one of the things that I have found is on YouTube. You see a lot of projects where they show you how to do some of these projects, but they're sped up, like 1,000%, and you don't really get a chance to see what they're doing, or they don't really explain what they're doing so that you can understand the principles behind what they do. So is a cool thing, a cool project that I thought would be really good. That I have seen is doing a puzzle piece for. A lot of you see it a lot. You see a lot of pictures online about it, and I haven't really seen anybody explain how to do it. But so anybody that's got a CNC machine, whether they got like a real small one or they got an industrial machine, that has linear rails and whatnot, can do this project. So even if it's simple Xcarve, you could still do it. But what we're going to do is I'm going to show you how to do this. So I'm going to go ahead and open up the program that I have here, and this is the puzzle piece 4. Now, as you can see, I kind of have everything all set up, and it's all set up because I had filmed this video before in Windows Game Bar, and what's unfortunate is that I lost everything. So it was like a 30-minute shoot, and I had no idea with the mouse click. So what we're going to do is, the first thing is, we are going to start off with a pattern and how to get it the way that you need it. I mean, as you can see here, I've got the finished pieces, and I've moved on to a couple of different patterns, and you can see how that translates here. But let's start off by doing a piece and getting it started. So anytime, if you're going to be making something, puzzle piece, um, particularly, I should mention, we are using Vcarve Pro here, and this is a licensed copy. Um, and maybe some of you might have Aspire, or some other program. Aspire, you can also do this too, and there's different things that you can do that'll help make it easier. I want to say, let's make a 16 by 16 square and just resize that object. It's easy to do all these in a square that I found. And then just really simple, you copy the piece and do another one. We'll use that here in just a minute. So as we can see, I've got a puzzle piece down here. We're gonna go ahead and copy that, and just go ahead and move it up here. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use this as a template to make another piece. Now, if you find some sort of GIF file online or anything like that, you could certainly use that also. But when I originally made these pieces, I simply, from here, just take and make a circle. Let's see, I'm not too sure what size it needs to be, but we'll just make one and get it close. Alright. Okay, so if you guys notice that this piece right here, of the one I already went on ahead and did, I went on ahead and changed this shape and put this curve in it, and that curve is there so when you do the actual piece on the CNC machine, it'll look more like a puzzle piece. You can't just leave it like that, otherwise it's not going to work too much. So from here we just go into node edit mode, and you insert a point, and also you do the same thing, insert a point, and then cut vector, and then cut vector. And wow, check that out. You hit delete, and you've got your semicircle there. So, and when you do that, when you use node edit mode, granted, I haven't really, gone into it, which a tutorial may help, if you don't know how to use these functions, is anytime you have that go on, you just want to take your cursor and just kind of highlight the part that you just cut, and it'll bring it up. Otherwise, if you try to click on it, what'll happen is if you could see, well, that time we got lucky, but sometimes you'll click on it and it won't. Wow, every single time so far it's worked where I've gotten it and it's been the correct one. So from here, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use my arcing tool, create an arc, and go like that. So now we got this part here, that part. Well, actually, here we'll do this. Take that part and that part, and join vectors with a smooth curve, and now they're all one vector. As you can see, it highlights pink right here. So we're going to take that and do the same thing. Go right here and do it here. A simpler way to do this, and I'll show you here in just a moment, would be to actually, if you were in the center, so if you move this piece to the 0, 0 origin, you could do that same thing, and then you could actually invert the piece that you just did, and that way it would match exactly and it would be even, which is a really handy trick. Saves you a lot of time if you are doing a lot of these. Okay, so now from here, what we're going to do is we're going to take this square that I made, and we're going to node edit. We're going to, let's see here, it zoomed in too far. We're going to, actually you can cut the vector. You don't even need to insert a point. You can just cut the vector, then cut the vector right there. Alright, and when you cut that vector, you want to make sure you get rid of that. So then from here, you want to make sure you get your part, and then just join and close vectors with a smooth curve and do it twice, and that should be it. So now, okay, that didn't get it. So I'm just going to undo everything we just did. Alright, so what we're going to do is the one that's already made, we can move it since we don't really need it as a point of reference anymore. So like if you notice, that these parts right now are kind of cattywampus right there. Typically speaking, you'll have that happen a lot. You just want to move the part down and join the vectors, and there they will be joined. Now something you want to keep in mind is you might see how there's that kind of going on there, and you don't want this, because what'll happen is when it goes to machine that part, it'll cause you a lot of problems, and really the easiest way to take care of that is just delete points, which in that case it removed all of them. So now I'm just going to join those vectors. In this case, we're going to do it with a straight line. There we go, that took care of it there. I'm going to zoom out and go to the next part. Alright, I lost our piece there. We're going to try this again. I'm just trying to kind of make sure that I don't have any duplicate points. So like another thing that can happen, if you notice what's going on here, if we zoom in, there's actually 3 points here. And I can't tell you how many times that I've had this happen. Really, just a really simple thing to do is delete the points and smooth them out. And it'll be really frustrating because those marks, you know, they'll show up in the machining process and they'll be jagged, you know, and you'll have to take sandpaper and fix them. But for now, I mean, that's kind of got it close. Obviously, I'm not gonna smooth it out all the way just for all intents and purposes of the video. This is just like a basic way to just show you how to make the puzzle pieces. And you kind of saw what we did. That we just did a simple circle, node edit mode, and used our arcing tool in order to make that puzzle piece. And then we just joined the vectors to the square. And you basically, what'll happen is you'll repeat that process, you know, for each piece. So as you can see here, like I've got these pieces and they're numbered. And, you know, what you do from here is you can take your numbered pieces, and let's say you're the flooring guy or the guy that's building the house and somebody's requested this and they want all puzzle piece 4. You can actually figure out exactly how many pieces you need by using the CNC software in order to do that. So the way that I do that, so what I did here is with this square right here, is we are going to check what size I made it. I made this 144 inches by 144 inches, which translates to 12 by 12. And that's how you can do it. So for each room that you needed something like this done, you could do that. And you could figure out how many puzzle pieces. And a lot of the times, I mean, obviously this one that I did here is like a perfect world, an ideal world. You know, where everything would be perfectly square and, you know, your pieces would be symmetrical and you wouldn't have to make any, you know, crazy cuts to get these pieces to fit. They obviously all fit in here. But if this was just shrank, you know, as an example, you know, just by a little bit. So if we made this 128 by 128, obviously you could see every single piece that we have in there is cut off. And what normally what it would be like is it would be something like that. And if anybody that's ever, well, you know, that actually works out perfect. Let's I mean, a lot of the times you would have something like that where, okay, great, every single one of these pieces needs to be cut, you know, and it becomes, you know, quite tedious for the flooring installer. Well, here's the thing. So let's say, you know, I mean, obviously on a square surface like this, it's not going to be as hard for somebody to figure out. But what you could do is you could go on ahead and actually make new pieces. So if these are the cuts that you needed to make, you could actually go on ahead and program like this cutout right here to be your next series and numbered pieces, so that when you go to install it into the floor, those pieces will be right, and then whoever's installing the floor can just go to town. They don't have to make any extra cuts. They can just figure out, okay, what piece you need, and then go from there. And you can also do the same thing. So if you've got an arcing cut, you know, that you need to make, maybe you've got like a curved stair, or you got some sort of curving that this floor is going to meet. Likewise, you would do the similar thing to what I did before, and I'll just go on ahead and show how I did that, because that one is a little bit more complex than some of the other ones. So we're going to take and paste. All right. Okay, so this one's a little bit different, but that's okay. It's not number 1, but it's not tantamount for that to have it. So yeah, so basically what you do from here, now if this is your actual dimension and this arc actually lines up with what you're trying to install in the house or matches up with the blueprints, you would just take that piece and you would go to node edit mode and you would cut the vector and go here and cut the vector, and then get rid of your excess. Take this piece here, move it back. You could, from here, make a piece, and we can match this arc that we have going on here. And then you would just join the vectors. And then you have a new piece. And really, that's as easy as it's got to be to figure out your layout, for your puzzle piece 4. Something I will mention is, obviously in this video, I'm not gonna be showing the machining of some of these pieces getting made, and the reason for that is right now I don't have access to a machine, so I can't show you these cuts being made, but I will go over really quickly. So my experience was doing CNC. I have never cut, well, I really haven't cut plywood at all. The only thing I've done has been solid wood. So your walnuts, ipe, kumaru, teak, sapele, woods like that. I have a lot of experience cutting that. And what I have found is, if you're gonna cut those types of woods, what you can do is, my preference, if you can use it for something like this, I would say it would be a 1/2 inch bit. So what we are going to do is we are going to put a 1/2 inch bit in here and use it to make the cut. And let's just say that this piece has got a depth of 1 inch for grins and giggles. If you're going to do something like this puzzle piece 4, most of the stuff that you're going to do is probably going to be scrap that you have that's lying around. With a 1/2 inch bit, you can get away with doing half the diameter of whatever the cutter is. So you could do 0.25 inches a pass. I don't really recommend it. My preference is to go to 0.2 or 0.166, somewhere around in that area. And if you're going to be cutting with these, my preference is a good spiral down cut bit. Now a lot of y'all might, be interested in using the upcut bits, which, for plywood they're okay, but I have found in my experience that the down cuts are always better. Even if you're getting into something like cutting returns on stair treads, which I've done a lot of, successfully with end mills, I find that the upward cut will actually pull the pieces upward. So if you have something that is a very difficult cut and you don't have a lot of clamping area, or if it's something that's likely to throw the piece, kind of like stair tread returns are, the down cuts will push the work down into the CNC table, which is preferable. So from here, let's see. With your bit cuts, if you have a variable speed router, 18,000 is a wonderful speed to run your 1/4 inch end mills and your 1/2 inch end mills, my experience. And you can go with the cut settings I've got here, 150 inches a minute with a 1/2 inch end mill. Now, that is assuming that you've got a machine with NEMA 34 motors, which is the type of machine I'm used to using, a Laguna Swift 4x4. You can go at these speeds. From my understanding, if you've got an Xcarve and the things are on belt feed, which is unfortunate. They've got your NEMA 17 and NEMA NEMA 24 motors, I think, is the size that are on those things. Your realistic speeds of doing this is probably going to be closer to 30 inches a minute, and you're probably not going to have a 1/2 inch end mill. You're probably going to be using a 1/4 inch end mill. And my suggestion would be to keep that thing between 30 and 80, and you probably don't even have to worry about the spindle speeds. If you have that type of router, yours is probably the type that you got to cut it on anyways. And I would suggest, I've always done a plunge rate of 30 inches a minute on most of my cuts, and that's been fantastic. There's been a few situations where I haven't needed to do, I've done it a little bit faster, and that's with situations where I've needed to drill holes. But for all intents and purposes, what we got here, 30s is going to do phenomenal. Tabs. So something I want to go over. For the most part, in the 2 years that I worked at the wood shop, I never used ramps. And then I started working at another wood shop, and they had a machine, and they used ramps. The ramps are 1,000 times better. My suggestion is always, always, always use them. And let's see. And the reason why you want to use them is that when you make these cuts in this thing, what this tab has a tendency to do is when that cutter gets right there, it'll leave a gouge. Just it's a slight gouge. I mean, it's nothing serious, but in the wood shop that I worked at, for me, I had to sand these things also. So, and I noticed um, that they were really aggravating to get out, and the ramps actually help stop a lot of that because it keeps it from moving that few so thousandths. Um, and another thing to note about these tabs is that I've noticed that a lot of people, because I worked with a team of people, that a lot of them had a really hard time getting these tabs out, and either they had a hard time or they didn't want to get them out. So if you've got people working with you, just make sure that you try to do it in a way that makes it easier for the people they're going to the next step. And another thing is, if you have one, you could use a vacuum table, and then you wouldn't have to be concerned with the tabs. But just whatever your situation is, your hold down, you can figure out, and then that's your situation and how you go from there. But yeah, I mean, basically, this is how, if you wanted to do something like this, is how you would go about doing it. Uh, Obviously, these here, I mean, I haven't machined any of these. It's not like you were going to get these right on the first go, probably. You probably have to make adjustments to these cuts. So, like, you could do piece number 1 and then piece number 2. Um, that is one thing that I do want to bring up. Like, these are sized because really, if you think about it, this is kind of like doing inlays, using how Vcarve does inlays, and each one of these, realistically, so like number 1 would need to be 5 thousandths or so smaller on the outside, so when it goes into this curve, that it'll fit. You got to have to make sure the parts have clearance. And likewise, if you look, that would have to be the case also for number 3. Is so you would probably have to make a couple of these just to make sure that you got your pattern right. And once you get this pattern correct, you could do this whole entire floor. And as a matter of fact, if you're some sort of manufacturer, you could use it as a template for batch processing if you wanted to manufacture a lot of these pieces. So yeah, this is I guess the end of my first video there, and if anybody, I'm gonna keep doing more of these. It'll be focused around complex designs, but if anybody is interested in seeing more, you can subscribe to the channel, and I'll be bringing more stuff out there. If anybody's got any ideas or comments, just let me know. Thank you.